Generations Bank has been serving the financial needs of the Finger Lakes region since 1870. Generations combines the best of modern banking with dedication to the local community. Visit them at mygenbank.com. Generations Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into Bills Weekly here on FingerLakes1.com. Paul Russo, Kyle Evans, and Jim Sinicropi here with you. First time in a while I get to say this. It's not Victory Monday, but then again, it's not Losing Monday. Bye week for the Bills this past weekend, as we know. So, was there to talk about today, you might be wondering? Well, plenty. San Francisco 49ers coming up on Sunday Night Football here on Thanksgiving week. And we'll discuss kind of how the Bills have gotten here, more or less, this season so far. But first, including thanking our sponsor, Generations Bank, we also have to thank GoNet Speed. The future of connection is here, and it's fiber made for how we live and work today. GoNet Speed fiber is faster and stronger than anything out there. Check out availability in your area, as well as plans and pricing at gonetspeed.com, and get ready for fast and reliable fiber internet straight to your home. And Lil Jon and Barbie Orthodontics. Dr. Lil Jon and Dr. Barbie and their outstanding orthodontic team share a common goal to ensure the overall wellness of each of their patients through their exceptional orthodontic care. You can check out Dr. Odd and Dr. Liz online at littlejohnortho.com. So, guys, like I said, bye week for the Bills, much needed. Kind of a pretty good spot they were part of for fantasy owners out there by Mageddon, but kind of needed for the Bills as it stood right now, as I call it. They're still dealing, as we know, with some injuries and stuff like that. So a week 12 bye, much needed, and now they are rested about as well as you can be, I suppose, for this mini stretch run here to week 18 in the postseason.
Yeah, it was definitely a little weird not having Bills football yesterday or at all this week. But man, the games, especially the 1 o'clock games, came down to the wire yesterday. A lot of chaos happened. I thought that was pretty enjoyable. But yeah, in terms of the Bills, like their players are all going to come back healthy, hopefully. I mean, extended rest for just a couple of their wide receivers, especially, and then Matt Milano. I'm sure we're going to get into. He could possibly return this Sunday night, so it was actually a perfect time for the bye week. But at the same time, I also got Jim's point last week when he said, when you're rolling like this, you don't necessarily want to take a break. So we'll see how they come out of the bye week. But I do have a quick stat here: the Bills are 7-0 under Sean McDermott following a bye week. So they really come out of that bye week well and respond well. So hopefully they can continue that this Sunday night.
Yeah, they got their toughest stretch of the season coming. San Francisco, then at Los Angeles, who didn't look great last night against the Eagles, but then at Detroit. Hopefully they get a nice Thanksgiving dinner, get ready to play Sunday, and then stretch run. But it wasn't really a good or bad week for the Bills in this bye week in terms of what other teams did. I mean, Miami won, so they get a little closer in the division, but I mean, they're too far behind, I think. The Chiefs almost got upset by Carolina, but again, pulled out a close victory, so now they're still a game ahead of the Bills in the AFC race for that first round bye. And then the Steelers lost.
Mm-hmm.
So they're 8-3 now. They're looking up at the Bills in the AFC standings. So Chargers play tonight. They can move to 8-3 with the Steelers, or fall to 7-4 with the Ravens. Or actually, if the Ravens won, then they'd be 8-4. So Ravens, Chargers tonight. Broncos won. Texans lost. So the Bills are in a really good spot. It would have been a nice bye week gift from the Chiefs if Carolina was able to pull it off. But as we've seen all year long, the Chiefs are just going to find a way to win unless they're playing the Bills.
Yeah, 8 out of their 11 games, one-score games. I knew there was way too much time. I don't know about you when you were watching it in real time. But it's like, yeah, they're going to march down the field and win again. But I guess the Steelers' loss was big, though, because, they could be 9-2 as well. And they don't play each other this year. So for some reason, they ended tied. They would go by, what do they go by now? If they're tied at the end of the year, do they go by
I think
conference record?
I think one's head to head, and then it's like, yeah, conference record. I think there's a point differential thing if you get far enough down. Like,
Yeah, I know all, it's really just the Chiefs and the Bills basically fighting at this point. Especially look at the Bills' schedule. I mean, their final 3 games is against AFC East opponents who aren't really good. So,
Yeah, I mean, you hope that at that point in the season, some of these teams don't. I don't think any teams really necessarily give up in the NFL. Those 3 weeks scare me. I don't think you can just write them down as wins. New England and the Jets at home, and then at New England to end the season. You'd like to think they can go 3-0 over that stretch, but it's the NFL; anything can happen. So, but to set that up, they need to. Geez, at least go 2-3 over their first 3 weeks coming out of the bye. San Francisco at the Rams at Detroit. That's really tough. San Francisco at home on Sunday Night Football. After what we saw yesterday against Green Bay, I mean, it looks like Bills will be pretty heavily favored in that one. Maybe 4.5, 5-point favorites in that one.
we are at 6.5 right now.
6.5 right now early. At the Rams, probably Bills will be 2.5, 3-point favorites, and then at Detroit they'll probably be underdogs.
Yeah.
For the first time this year, I think they were favored against Kansas City when we played them. So I don't think the Bills have been underdogs yet this year.
I think
Baltimore
they were underdogs.
You might be right.
I think I might be wrong. I feel like they were, but
can't remember.
yeah, it's interesting, and I think maybe more of this is saved for when we actually preview the game itself. But like, it's weird how the way things have broken for San Francisco at this point. That at least in this first 3-week block of games coming out of the bye week for the Bills, like this is the one I have the least amount of concern of. Now it sounds like Brock Purdy's gonna be back. Even then, though, like it hasn't looked like it's made much difference who's been under center for them for.
No, they're just
in the
not
grand
very
scheme of
good.
it.
They're just not very good. But it's a game that they absolutely need to win from the 49ers perspective.
Oh, yeah,
If they
for
want
sure.
any postseason chances, they need to win that game. So hopefully the Bills will come ready, rested from the bye week, have a great game plan, and hopefully have an easy win at home against San Francisco next Sunday night.
Yeah. Yeah, let's before we get there, let's do a quick little rewind here how we got here to the bye week and out of it. Opening win with the Cardinals, win in Miami, win against Jacksonville, Baltimore, and Houston, back-to-back losses. And then since then, 6-game win streak against the Jets, Tennessee, Seattle, the Dolphins again, Colts, and then Kansas City, as we know. We've said it on here. A lot of people have said it outside of here, right? It's been a bit of a reverse year for what a lot of people thought the Bills were probably going to have this year. Hasn't been a ton of questions for the most part. The ones that we have had have been answered borderline right away, like week of type stuff. Overall for the Bills, right, I don't think it could be much better. I mean, it could be. I'm not going to sit here and act as if, they, especially, for example, the Houston game, they might want back in that sense. But, in the grand scheme of it, there are teams far worse off than them. And frankly, I'll sit up here and say it. I don't think that there are many teams, or any teams for that matter, in a better spot than them, to be quite frank.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's over, and I'm sure you guys do, but they can officially clinch the East this weekend with the Dolphins lost to the Packers on Thanksgiving night, and then with a win Sunday night at their place. So it's really crazy how early it's going to get wrapped up. I know we talk about it a lot. The injuries probably played into it a little bit, but the fact that it's going to be, week 13, and they're going to clinch a division for a 5th straight year, it's pretty wild what's happened in Buffalo over the last 7 years or so.
Yeah.
And it's great, but there is one team that's in a better position than the Bills, and that's the Chiefs.
Fair.
By one game. Hasn't been pretty. Maybe you feel more confident about the Bills versus the Chiefs this year, especially since we beat them head-to-head. But they're still one game clear, and they're still defending Super Bowl champs. And no matter how many division titles the Bills win, it's not going to matter until they get over the hump. 2 humps, really. First is the Kansas City hump to get into the Super Bowl, and second is to win a Super Bowl, which is the franchise has never had. And, if you're a Bills fan, you do got to feel good about that we're ready to overcome Kansas City this year. Wait and see. But then the Super Bowl, you're going to be playing maybe a team like Detroit, Philadelphia. I mean, it's not going to be easy. And are the Bills built to do it this year? I don't know. I don't know yet.
Well, they may not have an option of if they are built, if they end up getting to that point. It's tough to, and look, statistically, I do agree with you, Jim, right? I mean, Kansas City is probably the only team above them in that sense. But we've talked about on here, Kansas City pretty beatable this year. Yeah, they get it done when it matters most and everything like that. But if there is a year that the Bills can do it and shake the Chiefs in the playoffs, it appears that this year should be the year.
It should be. It's tough for any team to win 3 straight Super Bowls or to get to or to win. I think last time somebody won 3 straight Super Bowls, the Packers in like the 1960s.
I don't know if anybody's won 3 straight.
Well, I seem to think the Packers might have.
Packers won 2 straight.
2 straight in the 60s.
They won the first 2.
Well, regardless, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
So the Bills got that on their side.
No team has ever done it.
No team's ever done it. So, like I say, the Bills got that on their side. But, the addition of Cooper, if they can stay healthy over the next 6 weeks. But, they're in position. And I've said it before on this podcast, going into the season, I wasn't sure if they could be 9-2.
Mm-hmm.
Felt more like it was going to be, a tough AFC East division. Get into the playoffs, probably not number 1 seed, but this team's exceeded expectations on both sides of the ball, especially defensively, I think, was where we thought they might struggle a little bit. They've shown that they have a solid running attack and some depth. They lack a little depth maybe in the wide receiving core, but there's potential there and they've shown improvement, and they've added Amari Cooper. And then, you got Josh Allen, who might be the best quarterback in football this year, including Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, I agree with what people are saying. Let alone best quarterback. I think he's MVP.
MVP.
I mean, I think the only person who is in the conversation might be Saquon, but even then, I think I stuck my flag in the ground in week 3 or whatever it was that Josh Allen is my MVP already at that point. So,
well, it's his to lose over the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that defense has been a pretty good focal point, as we know. Kyle, you kind of alluded to reinforcements kind of possibly on the way. We've seen Milano do a little bit of some workout stuff, and possibly on the horizon here as we get closer. As we know, they were predicting sometime in December as the target date, and lo and behold, week 13 here for the Bills when they play is December 1st anyway, as we get through November. What's the outlook on Milano as it stands right now?
Yeah, the deadline to activate him is December 4th, so they could wait until after that game and activate him on that Monday, December 2nd. But I think, honestly, he practiced all week in a limited fashion, but I think, he'll be out there starting Tuesday as the walkthrough tomorrow. And I think even if he plays, he will be on a snap count, but why not? If he's ready, let him go. Let him get 30-40% of the snaps and slowly build him up. And I know they're still, trying for the number 1 seed and you want to win every game, but they're in a position where, they're 9-2. They don't have to worry about, should we bring him out and risk, something defensively with him. They're in a good spot. They can take things slow with him and just let things progress. So I think we'll see him, and it'll be awesome to have him back with Terrell Bernard by his side.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, right? We've talked a ton about Bernard, who, frankly, since we started the podcast last year, has kind of been the name we probably have said most on here on defense, quite frankly. He's become the centerpiece of the defense, and has stepped up when these guys have kind of been down. And, that's the other thing, too, with this defense. They've been dinged up all year in various fashions, and somehow, some way, they've, like I said, they've been the focal point. They've just been consistently good all year. And, Jim, you even said it a few minutes ago, right? I mean, that's kind of been one of the main reasons that the Bills are even in the spot that they're in. Offensively, getting back to you, Jim, you brought up Cooper, trade for him mid-season here at the deadline, bring him in, kind of help bolster things. It's kind of been a coming out party of sorts in the grand scheme for Khalil Shakir this year. We've seen what James Cook's been able to do. Obviously, we've talked about Josh Allen, who is he second now rushing, or no? He is the leading rusher in Bills history, right? Or am I tripping from a few weeks?
Who are you talking about?
Josh Allen,
The leading rusher in Bills history.
Yeah.
More than Thurman Thomas.
Maybe it's second then or something. I don't know.
I don't have those numbers.
I feel like I might be tripping. I know he did something a few weeks ago. Now my brain's spacing out on it, but either way, it's been a pretty good year offensively, all things considered. That's where I kind of was worried. I think that's where we all were kind of worried because we just didn't necessarily see a potential true number one way early on when we were discussing things, going back to even the draft podcast we had back in April. And lo and behold, Shakir's kind of taken hold of this number one. We've seen Keon Coleman, I know the past couple weeks deal with injury, but he's come on pretty good here as the season's come on. Bring it in Cooper. It's been a pretty good showing for the Bills offensively as well.
And the thing is, the trade with Amari Cooper was obviously great, but we haven't actually seen him, have that huge game yet because he's been battling that wrist injury a little bit, wearing the cast. But with this extended rest, I hope he can come out, this Sunday night and, finally show us, what he's capable. He's very well capable of getting 100 yards and being a huge guy, for targets downfield. And like we saw in the KC game, he had 2 big ones. I think when this guy really gets healthy and settles in, he's going to even be a bigger impact, and that's going to leave Shakir even more wide open because they're like, oh, now we got to worry about Cooper downfield, a healthy Cooper.
The tight ends and I don't think Amari Cooper is a true superstar number one in the mold of like an A.J. Brown or Stephon Diggs in his prime or Justin Jefferson, but he is for this Bills team the perfect fit, I think. I think a number one guy like a Justin Jefferson or A.J. Brown or the guys I mentioned might not necessarily fit in so good with the Bills because they're so diversified on offense. You're either going to have Allen running, Cooper, Ray Davis has had huge games. You got the tight ends, you got Shakir, Coleman. There's just a lot of weapons, and so I think Amari Cooper fits the bill perfectly. And if he can get healthy coming out of this bye week and have a nice 6, because he hasn't had huge statistical games yet. He's made big plays. Maybe he comes into his own over the next 6 weeks and has a couple big statistical games and scores some touchdowns, and then the Bills hit the postseason running.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hey, I mean, be pretty big. They already, we've talked a little bit in here about them having a pretty good 1-2 at running back anyway in that sense, and
1, 2, 3. They got tight.
Well, yeah, 2. Tried.
I mean, they really are pretty. Not Ray Davis has been the nice surprise, but they're pretty
and it
solid across.
And it helps too. Josh Allen can take off pretty much anytime he wants. So, all things considered, folks, not bad, as they would say. Let's jump into more of the San Francisco game. Sunday Night Football. This is of the scheduled games anyway, last of the primetime slots here in the regular season for the Bills. So 8:20 Sunday night against the 49ers in Orchard Park. I'm trying to pull up the weather at the moment for it. Went away from me.
It's a little ways away, but I think it's supposed to be cool and clear if it sticks, high in the upper 30s maybe, and no precipitation. But it's too early.
Yeah, especially the way the weather's been, at least locally here the past couple days or so. It's showing 29 degrees and actually some snowflakes in the air, so that would be a nice little pre-December. It will be December at that point. Pre-whatever for Bills fans who enjoy that type of deal. Kind of already mentioned a little bit off the jump here. The 49ers do expect Brock Purdy to be back, but he was out this past week. Kyle Allen was the starting quarter. Go ahead.
Brandon Allen.
Sorry, I get those guys all kind of have the same deal going on. Things didn't go great in Green Bay for them. Things haven't really gone great all year for the 49ers. You know, still, you know, a team probably you really can't take lightly in that sense anyway. But certainly maybe not the matchup, as I mentioned, as advertised, you know, at the beginning of the year, as maybe we had hoped this game potentially could have been.
Oh, what's weird about the Brock Purdy thing is, yeah, they'll say he'll be ready for Sunday night, but he's the one that took his own self out of practice.
True,
He's
yeah.
been dealing with the injury, you can tell, the last several weeks. So it just, and he went for another second opinion. So the fact that they're considering allowing him to play this Sunday would be crazy to me. But maybe he'll be ready and he'll try to play through it because they're only a game out of the division. As bad as they look,
Yeah.
that division's so bad that they're still alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, the Niners, they have so many injuries. Even their starting left tackle yesterday was out.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Trent Williams.
Williams still listed as out possibly for this Sunday as well. Their injury list is pretty deep in length, all things considered.
And they come, you know, east to take on Green Bay, tough road game, and got beat pretty badly. And now back, I mean, tough scheduling for them. Now they got to come further east to Buffalo. You know, this should be a Bills win.
Yeah, and
regardless of if Purdy plays or not.
Yeah. To piggyback off of that, normally, what I'm going to call it a normal week, the 49ers would probably stay on the East Coast at this point. But with Thanksgiving, as far as I know, they went back to San Fran, the Bay Area, and then they'll be coming back east again following the holiday. So I don't necessarily fully believe in that stuff every now and then. However, I think just the way especially this week is, I do think you have to take that into a little bit of consideration, all things considered. Kind of mentioned off the top, right? 6.5 point line for those who view it that way. Pretty interesting over-under total as well, 45.5 right now. Look, we've seen the Bills be pretty consistently getting to 30 points here. So I think offensively, again, not too much to worry about. It's just a matter, I think, of what San Fran team you're going to see more than anything else for this defense. And, you know, one name health-wise, too, we haven't talked about, although the past couple weeks he's been off the injury report and everything. But, you know, Kittle's also crept up on there, and he's been for a number of years, really, to be fair, San Francisco's true number one. You can make the case that it's Debo or Ayuk who's out, but for all the quarterbacks who have kind of gone in and out with San Fran here, the better part of a decade, Kittle's consistently been the number one, and it's frankly been kind of a quiet year for him, all things considered.
Well, he's been injured. He's missed a couple games. He's missed half of games, but I don't have the stats in front of me, but I bet he's their leading touchdown scorer.
He is. He's got 8.
And he led them yesterday in that blowout, 86 yards, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, he still has, for the year, 642 yards of reception. So, I mean, he still is, like I said, he still is number one and everything, but normally it feels like a louder production from him than it has been this year.
Yeah, and that's probably just because the injuries, like you said, Ayuk, Debo. I mean, Debo has disappeared the last 2 games. He had 1 catch for 21 yards.
He's overrated, I think.
Then I just want to mention, too, because I don't know if you're going to forget it, Nick Bosa. That injury is huge because the Packers ran all over them yesterday. Josh Jacobs, 3 touchdowns, 118 yards. So he didn't practice all last week. So if he doesn't play again, look for James Cook to have or just the running backs in general, to have a huge game because they could not stop the run to save their lives.
Same thing with the Rams last night against Saquon. Yes. I mean, he ran for 300 yards or whatever it was. And so those are the next 2 teams we have coming up. So, you know, James Cook should be licking his chops. And, you know, you asked what San Francisco team will show up. I think it'll be the same San Francisco team we've seen all year, just an overrated average football team. And if the Bills have designs on a Super Bowl run, they should take care of them at home. And then on the road against the Rams, tough game, and in Detroit, back-to-back, tough game.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, I feel like at the beginning of the season, you looked at the schedule, and you're like, oh, man, they got Kansas City bye week and then San Francisco. You know, I'm not concerned about San Francisco. Hopefully the 49ers aren't watching this podcast, putting some locker room material up there, but I'm just not worried. They are the San Francisco who they've shown themselves to be at this point of the season.
Yeah.
There's no real surprises at this point.
Yep.
The Rams scare me more than San Francisco because number one, it's on the road, and they generally. This reminds me of last year's Rams team that gets off to a tough start, and you think they're out of it, then they find themselves in the playoffs. I mean, they're back healthy with Kupp and Nakua. Going to be a real challenge for the Bills secondary in that game. Yeah, Sunday Night Football at home.
5-0 at home.
It's everything points to the Bills, winning that game and moving to 10-2. Now, I don't know who Kansas City plays next week.
They're playing Thanksgiving night against the Packers.
Oh yeah, so now there is it at Arrowhead or
Yes.
so? Yeah.
Oh wait. Sorry, it's the Raiders this week. I misread that. I got teams mixed up.
Okay.
Chiefs play the Raiders on Black Friday.
Oh, that's
That
right.
3 o'clock start.
Yeah.
I had some disruption too for Kansas City having to play a Friday game. That's weird.
Also, a weird start time, 3.
And the Raiders have shocked them before, right? Was it
Yeah, they
last
beat them on
year?
Christmas.
Yeah.
What was it? Aiden O'Connell only
Pride of Purdue.
I think he completed only 6 passes or something weird like that, and they beat him. The Chiefs had no offense, so yeah. The Chiefs play 1-score games, so you never know. One team, one time could just shock them.
Plus,
Right.
The Panthers almost did.
They might have to deal with a resurgent wanting revenge Daniel Jones under center potentially for the Raiders.
Oh boy, well, I wouldn't be too worried about that. But yeah. So I mean, if you assume the Bills are going to lose one more game, I think you'd like to think they could run the table. But let's be realistic. It's the NFL. The Bills are going to lose probably one more game on the way home here, whether it's at Detroit or they could lose more. But let's just say they lose one more game, then you're going to need the Chiefs to lose 2 more games. So there's not many weeks left with 6. So it would be great to see. Boy, what if the Raiders somehow can pull that upset on Black Friday? Which Black Friday, the Raiders black tack,
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden this Sunday night game for the Bills comes even better because if they win that game coupled with the Kansas City loss, they're the number 1 seed.
One quick thing, they played in Week 8 in Vegas, and it was 27-20. So, again,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
played them tough. 1-score game. It's like clockwork with them.
Yeah, whether it's Carolina or
Denver, right? Denver played it close.
yeah, I mean Kansas City just has not had that difficult of a schedule. I think is a defending Super Bowl champ normally would have because of their division's nothing to get too excited about, I guess. But then again, neither's Buffalo's.
I mean, Denver. Come on now. We're a pro Denver Bronco podcast around here in this sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, they've overachieved for sure. I think when the Chiefs played them, they probably weren't playing as well as they are now. But I don't know, man. I don't know. The Chiefs are due to lose one of these games against somebody.
Here's the Chiefs' schedule. Chargers after the Raiders. Chargers, Browns, Texans, Steelers, Broncos.
Tougher than the Bills' schedule, I think.
Yeah, I would definitely say so.
And I'm going to take a page out of what I say for some college football stuff here. I've said it with the Miami Hurricanes this year a ton, but and they got bit by it 2 weeks ago now, technically. But you can't keep playing with your food and expect to get away with it. One of these times it's actually going to come back and bite you.
Right.
So
They beat the Chargers 17-10 in Week 4. And they beat the Broncos 16-14 in Week 10.
yep.
So see, I mean, maybe at Denver's the difference here, possibly, or that's at home against the
Be a
Chargers.
huge game for Denver. There'll be huge games for the Chargers too. I
At
mean, these will be
Pittsburgh on
big
Christmas.
games. If you look at what the Bills have coming, yes, it's a big game for San Francisco. Yes, it's a big game at Los Angeles. Probably not a huge game at Detroit, but that one on December 15th will be hugely hyped.
Oh yeah.
It's a 4:25 game, and it'll probably be the game of the week in the NFL. But then, the Bills finish with 2 teams in New England and the Jets over the past 3 weeks that have combined 6 wins and 17 losses so far. So definitely Bills have an easier schedule than the Chiefs, but they are one game behind. But they also have the tiebreaker because they beat them head to head. I think that first round bye is huge, and to host. Can you imagine an AFC Championship game in Buffalo?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be crazy.
And it's right there for the taking. So hopefully the Bills can feel the moment right now, where they are, and what they can accomplish in the next 2.5 months, to do something this franchise has never done. And why do it from behind? Get out in front. Get that home game in the AFC Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as like whoever they would face in the Super Bowl, I mean, there's a long way to go. Injuries happen to other teams too. Let's hope they don't happen to the Bills. But a Matthew Stafford injury, or Amon St. Brown for Detroit, or Saquon always gets hurt. So who knows? Just got to get there. And to get there, you got to get the number 1 seed this year, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to kind of piggyback off you quickly here, looking at ticket prices for the rest of the season, $372 is currently the cheapest ticket for that Lions game, for example. So, in terms of, head-to-head matchup hype-wise, that's the one, and $135 is the next most expensive and it's this week. Coming up, outside of that, your cheapest ticket's $52 right now for that last game in New England. But
well, that last game in New England, it would be great if the Bills have it wrapped up, so they can rest some guys and get healthy. And you're going to be playing a New England team that hates the Bills and has nothing to play for except to try to play spoiler. And a cold day in January in New England. Hopefully the Bills best case scenario, have this number 1 seed wrapped up before that game.
And I think, too, something to keep in mind, I know they're going out west for this game, but LA is not – they don't have a true home field advantage. A lot of transient stuff there. So, hey, all stuff to keep an eye on with that. All right, let's do our predictions and get out of here. I think it kind of sounds like we're all at least in agreement on a Bills victory of some sort here this week, right? Not to do the college game day thing where everything.
The loss would be a disaster.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Just given what's ahead, with the 2 road games against 2 quality teams, a loss would be a disaster. Because for all the reason we talked about, how the Bills are in good position now to get that number 1 seed, a loss to San Francisco, forget it. You're on the outside looking in again. Got to win this game. And you want me to start with my prediction?
Yeah, have at it.
All right, I like Bills 35, 49ers 17.
Oh, we're in. Okay, that's fair. me and you are in the same neighborhood. I was going 34-14, so we're in the same neighborhood anyway on that front.
Yeah, easy Bills win.
Yeah.
I have 30-20. I think it's going to be a 10-point difference.
Yeah.
Maybe the 49ers get that late touchdown like the Colts did with 8 seconds left to make it 20, just to make the score look better than what it was. But, yeah, it's going to be a blowout, I think.
Yeah, this is the one where even if it's not a blowout, say it's a close game or something like that, like this is still, like you said, Jim, I agree with you. This is one where it's just you have to have it in that sense, right? Like, I mean, I don't want to take and make it sound like the 49ers are awful. They aren't, but in that sense. But you can't miss layups in that
home.
And
You're home.
This is a one that you have to see through the basket and get to moving for the final 5 games of the year at that point.
And when they do win, they've won a few close games, but they win big. They have 4 games of 10 or more points. They won by, and what is it? 4. Oh yeah, they've won 4 games by 20 or more points as well. So, see, they win big.
Their 2 losses were pretty bad, too.
Yeah.
35-10 against Baltimore, 23-10 against Houston. But, when the Bills have scored 30 points in 8 of their 9 wins, the only one they won that they didn't score 30 was, the Jets, 23-20 at New York.
We'll always give them trouble.
Yeah.
Defensively.
Yeah. And so, the Bills will put up points. They'll win against San Francisco, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
And then it's December. Sunday's December 1st.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, Thanksgiving this week, and then December, and next thing you know, we're going to be, ready for playoff football.
Mm-hmm. on our own special frozen tundra. Oh, man, this is it's awesome. We've got upstate New York has some good football this year, which is nice collectively.
Do you want to take a couple seconds on your team quick or no?
Yeah, the Syracuse Orange we are rolling. It's
I
tremendous.
thought you were going to talk about the Commanders who
You straight, are they back?
You guys
So
allowed me
embarrassing
to
yesterday.
duck those allegations. That's why I went Syracuse. You guys should have been better about that. Come on now.
Hey, that was the most entertaining finish though I've seen in a long time. 41 fourth quarter points combined.
Yeah,
I mean,
nuts.
can we just say it's always funny to me, the reactions on the sideline when stuff like this happens. But the Cowboy who returned the onside kick for the touchdown, the look of like absolute like death on Mike McCarthy and what's his face, the special teams coordinator in Dallas. When he returned, it was just tremendous.
I wanted the Commanders to tie it because of that reason. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
What is that? 2 or 3 weeks after that Bears player did what he did,
Yep.
not paying attention to the Hail Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the Commanders would have tied the game on the Hail Mary, oh my God.
Yeah.
Most Cowboy thing ever.
Yeah, well, that shows me that the Commanders are not ready for prime time. That was a situation where they got a divisional rival coming in, and they really needed that win for the same reasons. Like any team needs a win this time of year who's got, playoff or postseason or Super Bowl aspirations, and they did not look good.
No.
Against one of the worst teams in the league.
Yep.
Terrible defense. I don't know how they look so bad, the Commanders on offense early on.
Cost me one of my parlays too.
Right.
So thanks.
The Terry
Not bad.
McLaurin's touchdown said it all. All they had to do is tackle him in bounds. And they had no timeouts. They would have to hurry up and run and spike it. And they just allow an 86-yard touchdown
Yeah.
to an offense that hadn't been doing anything all day. It was wild to me.
Yeah. That's why I went
Maybe
to
next
Syracuse.
year, Paul.
That's why I went to Syracuse. We're rolling. This is great.
Yeah, big game
I'm
next
having a-
week,
having a fun
Saturday,
time.
Miami. The
Yeah.
Hurricanes come to the Dome. I mean, it'll be one of the best football games in the Dome in a while, although we had some big games against Clemson in recent years, but this will be a big one.
Yeah.
Good chance for the Cuse to get themselves into like a premier type of bowl game as opposed to, the Chick-fil-A Bowl on December 17th or whatever.
I mean, I'm not opposed to the Chick-fil-A bowl. It kind of sounds like some free chicken
I
coming.
don't even
my
know
way.
if it is a bowl.
It is
but
not a bowl, but I respect what you're going for. Actually, technically, I believe it's the Peach Bowl sponsored by Chick-fil-A, actually.
There you go.
Either way, here nor there for that. So, yeah, big stuff this weekend for football in Central New York and Upstate New York and Western New York and everything like that. So, looking forward to that. Guys, and everybody else, too. Who am I kidding? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Hopefully it's safe and enjoyable and everything. And you don't tackle your cousins or nephews too bad in the Turkey Bowl. So
Next Monday, we'll be back fresh off this game.
Yeah.
This Bills game won't end till midnight.
yeah,
And we're going to be back here 10 a.m. Monday to talk about it. Like almost, I might not even sleep.
well, I will, personally speaking, be sleeping either way. Sunday night games this year have just dragged. That's the one negative part about this game for me, is the fact that like the Sunday night games this year have absolutely dragged.
Yeah, no, I fell
Time-wise,
asleep
it's
during the
been
game
bad.
last night. We had a party for my daughter's birthday. I had to make lasagna. I was exhausted, and I was finally everybody left. I sat down to watch the Sunday night game and fell asleep probably mid third quarter.
Yeesh. Well, I hope you like commercials. Kyle, you're just smirking over there.
I love it. I love late night football. I'm
Me
up
too.
all late. So, and think about it. That was a West Coast game, so the game ended 11:30 for us, and it's only 8:30 in LA.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Hey. And when it ends this week, it will definitely be 11:30 at night on the East Coast. So
And imagine getting out of that stadium too, and by the time you're getting home, if you're going to the game,
hell no.
God bless the Bills fans.
and how cold it's going to be as well.
Yeah, yeah. This is the season. Like it hasn't been. It's been beautiful weather for the Bills fans for most every game. But now for this stretch, they got 3 more home games before the playoffs, and there might be a weather game in there somewhere.
Like Cleveland on Thursday night, that was great.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, God. Okay. We're going to get out here on that note before I'm out on an island and everybody wants me at the stake for my take on domes in the northern hemispheres and maybe everywhere in North America at this point. So, That'll do it. Like Jim said, 10 a.m. next Monday, literally fresh off the game pretty much. Hopefully we continue our streak of Victory Mondays here on Bills Weekly. I'll take that. So appreciate everybody for listening and tuning in. If you haven't already, like, share, and subscribe to the FL1 YouTube channel. You can find Bills Weekly there and all our other podcasts on the YouTube channel, fingerlakes1.com, and all major podcasting platforms. Again, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and let's go Buffalo.